I love you, I believe in you, and it's going to be okay. The 3 things that I needed to hear 3 years ago when I felt more abandoned than ever. I remember that day as if it happened this morning. It was Sunday, and I had just woken up early at a brisk 12:30 in the afternoon. I dragged my bare feet across the cold tile floor into my grim bathroom and flicked on the sad lights, of which 2 of 3 were burnt out. As I walked past the overflowing trash can and pile of soiled clothes, I was barely able to make eye contact with my miserable reflection looking back at me through the dirty mirror. I felt abandoned, ashamed, and alone. I felt tired, unmotivated, and anxious, and I felt nervous, uneasy, and depressed. My personal world was in shambles. Even though 3 years ago, the rest of the world seemed somehow a little bit better shape than it does today, we're constantly hearing stories that create fear, spread lies, and exaggerate our differences. When classes and work are online, we've never been more separate from our communities. And when some of our entire lives are now being lived from the bedroom, all of us are feeling those same feelings I felt 3 years ago. But I will never forget that moment and how it felt in that dark bathroom. And if you were to tell me what I'm about to tell you, I wouldn't have believed it. But this story is my story of how the tiniest moment of honesty, courage, and flossing my teeth forever changed my life, and how it might be able to change yours too. As I looked at myself in the dim, dirty mirror, drowning in the emotions that poured through my body, I remembered what I had told myself the day before. I remembered the homework I said I was going to do, but didn't. I remembered the dinner I told myself I was going to cook, but didn't cook. And I remembered all the other things that each day I knew I should be doing, but was too busy drinking, staying up all night, scrolling on Instagram, watching TV, or playing video games. I always had an excuse. There was always a reason why, and it was never my fault. I'd started gaining unhealthy weight, letting my health slip. I lost friends, distanced from my family, and had become a liar to myself. As I looked at myself in the dirty mirror, I imagined a 50-year-old Ryan, just as miserable, looking back, disappointed at what he saw in the reflection. And in that moment, I knew I needed to change. It was the first time I can remember being truly honest with myself. The first time I felt like I was responsible for my actions, and the first time I felt the tiniest sense of control. I had admitted my wrongs to myself, and I could finally see some of the bad habits I needed to change. All of a sudden, my dirty reflection didn't seem quite so dirty. Before that day, while I didn't feel like I had lied to other people, I was lying to myself. Honesty, especially with yourself, is the first step to changing and improving your life. You can't begin to improve if you don't think you need to. You can't make a positive change if you believe you must remain the same. It's so hard to be honest, to look at yourself in the mirror, throw away your excuses, and accept that some of the hardships of life are on your shoulders. Not everything is your fault, and it shouldn't be. So being honest about what you can and can't control is crucial. Practice letting go of what you can't control, and practice being honest about what you need or want to do better. Practicing small moments of honesty is the first step to becoming honest, whether that's alone in your room, in front of your mirror, to a friend, a parent, teacher, or even in a journal. For me, I started by seeing the bad habits I wanted to drop. Staying up till 6 a.m., drinking every weekday, skipping class, and living in a dirty room. During that time, dropping my bad habits was far more important than adding good ones. But when you begin practicing honesty, you take the first baby step towards a better life, where you're more honest with yourself and with others. My reflection, now looking back at me through the dirty mirror, seemed a little clearer than before. Accepting responsibility, throwing away my excuses, and being honest for the first time felt like I was ripping off a Band-Aid I had been too scared to touch for far too long. I began to brush my teeth and imagine my 50-year-old self once again. I saw my bad habits with more clarity than before, and right in front of my eyes, looking back at me, was the reason to drop them. As I finished brushing my teeth, I put down my toothbrush. I noticed the unopened container of floss sitting forever abandoned on the counter near my sink. I reached out, picked up the floss, revealing an outline of dust on the counter where the floss had sat, untouched for months. As I rolled the container of floss in my palm, I thought of all the little things I knew I should be doing each day but wasn't. And I remembered my 50-year-old self looking back at me in the mirror, questioning whether I cared about him or not. I don't know why my heart was pounding. I don't know why I felt scared. And I don't know why my fingers were trembling. But I mustered up all the courage that I could find, unwound a foot-long strand of floss, snapped the string, and slowly began to floss my teeth. This was my battle. There are many like it, but this one was mine, and it took courage to face it. Everyone has their own battles, big and small. What might look terrifying to you might be a walk in the park for someone else. And what could be someone else's biggest fear could be your hobby. It takes courage to face your day, especially when you're struggling. It takes courage to get yourself out of bed when bed feels like the only safe place you have. It takes courage to do those hard little things every single day that you know you ought to be doing. And it takes courage to be alive and to be human. That first day, flossing is all I could manage, and it took all my courage to do it, but I was proud. I had been honest with myself, and I took action to do something about it, however small. The next day, looking at myself in the mirror, I remembered the day before, and again I flossed my teeth. This time, it didn't take so much effort, so much energy. I quickly walked back into my bedroom, saw my unmade bed and the trash that littered my room as if a garbage bomb had just detonated. I once again had to be honest with myself, acknowledge that this wasn't how I wanted to live, and gathered up my courage once again to do something I knew would make my parents proud. I grabbed the corners of my bed sheets, tucked them neatly in, and made my bed. For the very first time since going to college, I felt energized. Another positive, courageous step. I snatched a trash bag and began to collect empty trash and fast food bags, Sonic cups, and napkins that lay scattered about my room. I picked up the handful of week-old, half-finished drink glasses and put them in the dishwasher. For the first time in months, I could walk from my door to my bed without stepping on trash. The third day, I woke up a little bit earlier at 11 a.m. I flossed my teeth without giving it a second thought and could feel the courage I was building and the momentum I was starting to gain. I unscrewed the 2 burnt light bulbs above my dirty mirror, grabbed 2 fresh ones out of the box and screwed them in, illuminating my once dark bathroom and bringing light to my reflection in the mirror. I was able to show up on time to my classes, felt a little bit more focused than usual, and was even able to do my homework right after I finished class, the polar opposite of my usual pattern of procrastination. I carried this courage all the way to dinner time, where instead of haphazardly driving to Chick-fil-A for the 4th time that week, I actually took the time to whip up some dinner, even if it was only microwavable rice and eggs. I challenge you to practice tiny moments of courage every single day. Practice facing your battles no matter how small, whether that's getting out of bed for your Zoom class, giving your parents a call, or cleaning up your dirty mirror. Build the courage to take one positive step. Practicing tiny acts of courage on the small battles begins to build your courage to face the larger battles to come. Be proud and celebrate the little wins and the little moments of courage, even if it's as small as getting out of your bed or flossing your teeth. After several weeks, keeping this momentum, being honest with myself, and facing the day with tiny moments of courage, I was slowly starting to see a change. Not every day was great, and many days were still difficult, and in some, I regressed. But even after those hard days, I would remind myself of the courage it took to take action on the days before, and the momentum I was starting to build. My bathroom mirror, now illuminated and clean, gave me a clear and positive vision of myself each day when I flossed my teeth. Positive weeks became positive months. My life wasn't changing before my eyes, but each day I faced with honesty and courage moved me towards the person I wanted to be and the life I wanted to live. I felt stronger, more motivated, and more alive. Yet, there was one thing missing. I still felt alone. I had sought out to make all these changes on my own, but I could feel that it wouldn't last forever unless I had a community I could lean on when it was too difficult to continue alone. I started with the people I saw every day, my roommates. They were always my friends, but even though we shared the same house and sat on the same couches, we were distant. The daily conversations and antics had faded. Luckily, it didn't take much to reignite these friendships. Simply asking how they were doing each day led to deeper conversations and the discovery that all of us were fighting our own battles and that we had each other's backs. I started to realize how distant I had become from my parents. I'm very lucky to have amazing parents, but without putting in any effort myself, the phone calls home had slowly vanished across my growing time in college. Again, once I was honest about this and built the courage to call my parents, my relationship with them not only rebounded, but was stronger than ever. Before I knew it, I no longer was feeling so alone. With my friends and family by my side, I was filled with the confidence and security to keep going. Each time I now looked in the mirror, all I saw was myself, but I knew I wasn't alone. My community and momentum that brought me further from my shell as I felt more empowered to pursue more. I timidly began to talk with new classmates and started to realize I was constantly surrounded by amazing people who I'd been previously too scared to talk to. I nervously tried out for the club tennis team, and to my amazement, actually made it. I was starting to make new friends, exercise, build my community, and create positive habits. The momentum, the honesty, the courage, and the community, like a snowball rolling down a mighty mountain, kept slowly growing and gaining speed over the next few years. There are still challenging times, but now the support and community I built has my back. The positive daily acts of courage are now habits that are hard to break, and being honest with myself and with others is more of a rule than an exception. You need a community. We need a community. This life is too difficult to do it all yourself. Finding support, getting help, and trusting in others is no sign of weakness. It's a signal of strength. Looking back, I feel like my community has been the keystone of my growth and what I would work on first if I were to do it again. The people you see every day is your community, your roommates, your parents, your classmates, coworkers, everyone you see. You need them, and they need you. Be kind, be honest, and caring about others, and you'll find that they'll do the same, especially when you need it most. It's hard for me to believe how far I've come in only 3 years. Looking back at myself when I was in that trough, it's as if I was in a different world. I didn't know a way out, or even think there was a different way. But the momentum I built, the honesty I practiced, the courage I mustered, and the community that helped me along the way has led me to a life I couldn't have imagined. From graduating college, to getting a job, to starting a business and a podcast, to getting a house and learning to cook, I now feel so blessed, thankful, and amazed by the life that I now get to live. Now, each day when I look in my clear, bright mirror, I see my progress. I see hope, and am proud of how far I've come, and excited for where I'm going. But more than anything, I want you to feel the same way too. No matter how hard things feel, no matter how dark life gets, no matter how dirty your mirror, there is always a light at the end of the tunnel, and there are people around you who want to help you find it. I know it feels tough, sometimes impossible, but today I challenge you to be honest with yourself, to start practicing tiny acts of courage, to begin building your community one person at a time, and of course, to floss your teeth.